Hello, and welcome to this, the first of our journeys through the life and meteoric career of the Paisley Brothers. As their roadie, I was with them from the very beginning, right up until sometime later. Privy to their most private moments, I can offer an insight into the shattering musical phenomena that they quite literally were. This episode brings you the story of the series of events that surrounded the creation of their little known but critically acclaimed eponymous video epic. We shall discover their influences, uncover their battle with patisserie abuse, and I hope come to understand what it meant to be a Paisley. So sit back, fasten your seatbelts, and join me in this woefully overwritten documentary, rockumentary if you will, to the brief triumvirate that was the Paisley Brothers. The candle that burns twice as bright burns half as long, and they burned so very brightly. Our story begins with the darker parts of human nature, pastry addiction. By the spring of 1983, the three Paisleys, Ricky the Riff Collins, Sean Quincy Jarman, and Tim Whopper Harrowing, were at their lowest ebb. Living, sleeping, and working in a cake warehouse they called the factory, they had succumbed to the lure of confectionery. Like children in a china shop, they gorged on sweetmeats. Like bulls in a sweet shop, they charged hither and thither, desperately seeking the sugar their wasted bodies craved. In the shadow play, acting out their own deaths, knowing no more. The assassins all grouped in 4 lines, dancing on the floor. Rick's marzipan habit had been unsustainable since Christmas, and Tim was on at least 4 Swiss rolls a day. Only Sean had managed to retain a grip on reality. Going into town daily to pick up his Petit Four prescription, he soon realised that they had to get out, and get out soon. I well remember the day Sean suggested that they needed to clean up. He'd walked into the factory to find Tim wasted on fondant and Rick cooking up creme anglaise in a spoon. His hand twitched as he fought the urge to mainline another Battenberg. "Guys, we've got to get out," he sobbed. "I know a country house we can stay in. It's called Tonka's. The owners are away and we can perfect the songs we have been writing. We can cut a new disc and capture the process on video. What do you think?" Tim stood shakily to his feet, brushing the crumbs from his chest. He nodded his assent. Rick looked at the spoon in his hand, hurled it from him, dug in his pocket and pulled out a dusty and much neglected plectrum. "Let's go," he cried, his cheeks regaining their old rosy glow. So the Paisleys left their spiritual, and in a very real sense, their quite literally actual home of Storrington, and moved to Haywards Heath. Within a day their amplification stacks were erected, their contact lenses were stored in an unsavoury glass on the windowsill, and they were ready to begin. The change that the move to Tonka's had wrought in them all was marvellous to behold. Their cheeks glowed with health, and their eyes glinted with the old musical fervour that those of us who had been with them from the beginning remembered. Their musical tastes had matured during those desperate days in Storrington. Whilst they still acknowledged the debt they owed to Postcard, The Clash, Wah and Joy Division, they had been captivated by the musical grandeur of Yes, the throbbing primal rhythms of Bananarama, and the lyrical clarity of the Carpenters. They had changed, their music had changed, and yes, even the medium they chose to record those changes had changed. It would be one hell of a weekend. The first tracks were laid down in the morning. The 3 maestros were word, note and tempo perfect. Following a quick lunch, they were ready to attempt probably the most daunting of their new songs when a knock at the door revealed Rick Wakeman, a giant keyboard and a large case of Danish pastries. It was very nearly the end, but they resisted the temptation and enlisted Mr. Wakeman for the recording of their seminal track, Storrington, I Love You. Although the 16 minutes of arpeggiated keyboard solo didn't make it to the final cut, We all fondly remember Mr. Wakeman and his keyboards in the shrubbery, dressed as a hobbit. By Sunday evening it was complete. They had even managed to squeeze in a remix of their jangling cacophony, eponymously called The Mess. All that was left was to find a name for the new collection. Many were suggested. Stop Making Dents. The song remains a shame. Nude Boy. But in the end, the simplest title won. The Paisley Brothers. Tonkers. Can I say eponymous again? Oh, okay. Anyway, from me, it's goodbye until next time. Goodbye.